smoking some Balkan Supreme lunchtime in a CB Stub, vintage CB Stub. CB for custom built, of course, but you knew that. And I have no idea the vintage of this. Looking at the rustication, I would say maybe it's original era, 40 or 38 to 46. I don't know. The CB stubs, I don't think there's a whole lot of information on. So I was chatting with a friend of mine, co-worker, the other evening, and she was saying how sometimes you trigger people with PTSD without meaning to, of course, but you do it, and it just happens, and okay, you know, that's how it is. And the difficult thing isn't the triggering of the PTSD, which can cause a little dramaful event, but is more about afterwards, because the person with PTSD has probably pulled back a little bit, and let's say you're the one who's reacting to that, you know, you didn't mean to trigger him. Uh-oh. If you did, that's a whole different scenario. But if you didn't mean to trigger him, but you did, then, you know, it creates this tension, hurt feelings, emotional response. So the trick, she said, according to her therapist, is to get past the healing part. Because, and I confirmed this in my own experience, you tend to pull back yourself, and because you don't want to trigger them again. You don't, you know, it's well intentioned. You don't want to be the one who presses the button that triggers them, right? So you pull back. Now suddenly there's a new category of, oh, we can't go there. And, you know, some people just get past that. They're good about that. Other people sometimes don't get past it as easily. So the real work is afterwards, is rebuilding trust, is rebuilding a sense of shared space where we can both be emotionally vulnerable together in. To me, that is intimacy. And that is the thing that goes away when you have a PTSD incident being triggered. You know, it's like, oh, I'm so hurt, you know, and oh, I didn't mean to do that, you know. So, and how do you do that? Well, I think you just talk it out, honestly. I mean, what else, what other tools do we have? I think that's it. So, you have to learn to talk about how you're feeling without judging them, without blame. So suppose that's compassion, you know. Yeah, I get that, although it's tough. It can be tough. Because you're hurt too, you know. So there's that old adage, never go to bed mad. and that's great. Sometimes, things aren't ready quite to be talked about. And we're talking about good intentions on both sides, well-meaning people, rather than, say, somebody who is using a grievance to control somebody else, or get attention, or, all those kind of neurotic things. We're not talking about that. We're just talking about two people who care about each other and want to rebuild the trust in a shared emotional space. And so you just have to start talking about it, I think. So, and that can be kind of hard for some people. I mean, really hard for some people. And that's what therapists are for, but wow, are they hard to find these days, So, yeah. So you just kind of have to take the bull by the horns and attempt it yourself. Nothing ventured, nothing gained, right? So it's important to do that work. And it does feel kind of like work sometimes. But I think that's the only way to do it, honestly. So otherwise you just keep building up walls between you because you're both hurt. And then there are areas you can never talk about again because that's a trigger. And, you walk on eggshells because you don't want to trigger the person. And, interpersonal relationships. So, yeah. So I went out to the truck today. I'd bought 2 new batteries for it because they were discharging pretty quickly. And they were 10 years old. I mean, it's time, And it needs those 2 batteries to start. It's a diesel, a Cummins. So, 97. So it's a mechanical pump, 12 valve. So, get new batteries, stick them in there. Oh, turns over really nice, but no start. So, that's a fuel problem. So, life gets in the way. A week goes by. I go back out there. Batteries are dead. Brand new batteries are dead. So, I hooked up to a battery charger. My old, DeWalt battery charger. And it gave me a battery error. Maybe time for a new battery charger. Right? So I went over and got a new battery charger. Looks good. But now they're both showing a bad battery indicator. I tell you, if it's not one thing, it's another. Old stuff, just wow. Especially if it lives outside and you don't deal with it much, which I don't. I really don't need that truck, but it's cool to drive, and I do need a 4-wheel drive pickup. Although I've been thinking, honestly, I could probably get by with a minivan, a grocery getter, a suburban mom car. That would probably do me as well. And if it was big enough, I could sleep in it and go camping. So but I need to get the Dodge running. So, oh my gosh. But hey, both motorcycles are running well right now. The boat is running well. Haven't been on it much. I went down there last night and communed with it and ran the engine and stuff. The canvas needs some repair, and there's issues, but it's in good shape. Although it will need an engine eventually. That'll be expensive. The car's running well. So I went over to Eastern Washington to the Central Washington State Fair, and I'll throw a few pictures in at the end. Had a great time, and I entered some pies in the pie contest, but turns out they were doing something different with the pie contest this year. So you had to like pre-register by September 6th. I went online and tried to find rules, and I wasn't successful in that. So I just assumed, well, we'll just go like we always do and take pies on Friday morning. So I baked them Thursday night, got up early, caught an early ferry, and went across the mountains. I have a place in Sunnyside, so I'm technically a resident. Certainly pay taxes over there. So, got there, and the building was locked, and there was nowhere to sign in and register my pies. Whoa, what's going on? So, an older woman came out, and she kind of ran the food stuff, food judging stuff. And she said, oh, it's different this year. They're trying to get younger people into the fair, which is good. But they did it with a QR code to access the rules. And I hadn't found that online. So, you had to pick up your apples from the fair on the 16th and then turn the pies into identical pies. I made 3 different pies later that afternoon for judging on Saturday. So I was like, oh well. But she said, no, enter your pies. I'll make sure they're entered. And I'd filled out the paperwork already. She was real nice. So, but I don't know if I won anything. I went Saturday, and they did have a small display with some pies in it. And my pies weren't in there. Oh no. So, who knows? We'll see. You know, when you're being judged by somebody else on something, you just can't, there's no guarantee. There just is no guarantee. So, that's okay. That's part of entering those contests, you know. So, but I had a great time over there. Had some elote corn, which is, they call crazy corn too. It's usually grilled on the cob on a grill, and then smeared with like mayonnaise, and then sprinkled with spices, and then dipped in cojita cheese. It's like so good. So I got some of that, which was great, and then a hand-dipped ice cream bar, which was fun and really good. So, yeah, the crowds were heavy duty. There were lots of people there. So, that's always nice to see when a fair gets well attended. So, that was fun. And then I know a native plant specialist, and so she makes cold tinctures for colds every year from blue elderberry. And the blue elderberry grows well over there. And last time I was over there, I rode up the pass, and I was looking for the blue elderberries and kind of pre-scoping it. And didn't look like there were many berries. But this time, wow, I just made a couple of stops, and I got 2 big plastic grocery bags of berries. So I'll give those to her today. And we'll have cold tincture. So elderberry is supposed to be good for that. Okay, stuff to do. People to see, places to go. Kind of nice to take a little pipe break, though, gotta say. Kind of allows you to collect your thoughts and take a step back.